How's it going, everyone, and welcome to the first official mock draft of the season. Every year, I always do a couple of these mock drafts, and I thought it would be fun to get a couple of them in before the NFL draft takes place later next month. Before we get to this mock draft though, I want to state that this is all for fun. There's no such thing as a perfect mock draft, and if you nail 5 or even 6 picks, that's pretty much considered a success. So if you don't like who your team picks, well, I do personally apologize. As a Saints fan, I don't follow the other 31 teams all that closely to know every position that they desperately need ahead of the draft. So if there's a pick that you disagree with, kindly let me know in the comment section down below. Or if you want to be mean, well, go for it as well. I also want to say that this mock draft is going to have 0 trades. I'm going to do future mock drafts that include trades, but for this one, we're going to go through this as the order currently sits. Alright, with all that being said, I think we're ready to go. I think the first 2 picks are pretty chalk in regards to the Panthers and the Texans, as they're both likely going to go quarterbacks. Which quarterbacks are selected and in which order, that remains to be seen, but if I were to guess, I think we know what the top 2 picks are going to look like a month out. So I got the Panthers drafting CJ Stroud, and I got the Texans drafting Bryce Young. Obviously anything can happen and a lot can change over the next month, but if I were to guess, those are going to be the first 2 picks in the NFL draft. As of right now, the Cardinals are number 3 on the clock, and I don't think that's where they're going to be picking come NFL draft night. I think a team is going to trade with them to draft a quarterback, but as of right now, the Cardinals are at number 3, so I think they go best player available, and personally, I think that's Will Anderson out of Alabama. The Colts are a team I could see trading up a spot just to secure a quarterback, but if they're still sitting there at number 4, I think they still go QB, and I think that pick is going to be Anthony Richardson. The Seahawks find themselves in an interesting position, as I wouldn't be surprised to see them go quarterback at number 5 if one of them falls, but I can't see them going with Will Levis at 5, so I think they go best player available, and with Jalen Carter still sitting there at 5, I think that's a slam dunk pick. The Lions are another team who are in a pretty good position to take a quarterback should they choose, but I think they opt to go somewhere else. And with that being the case, I think they go Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. You're probably going to notice a trend with all of these teams in regards to needing a starting quarterback. Had the Raiders not just signed Jimmy Garoppolo, I think Will Levis would have been in play here, but I can't see them picking him and having him sit behind Garoppolo, so I don't think they go that route. So if the Raiders pass on a quarterback, I think the best defensive player available is Illinois cornerback Devin Witherspoon. This is where I finally think we see a quarterback go, as I just don't think the Falcons want to bank on Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke being their 2 quarterbacks next season. I think they can draft Will Levis, have a solid quarterback battle between him and Desmond Ridder, and see who comes out on top. The Bears were originally picking number 1, but they traded back to 9, and they have a lot of needs, but luckily for them, they have a good number of draft picks. So although I could see them going wide receiver here, I think with the addition of DJ Moore, they don't necessarily have to waste a pick inside the top 10, so beef up your offensive line, protect Justin Fields, and take probably the best offensive lineman in this entire draft in Peter Skoronski. The Eagles are picking at number 10, and honestly, I could see them trading this pick back and acquiring more picks, but if they opt to remain at 10, it seems pretty tough for them to want to pass on Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. A lot of people think the Titans go wide receiver early on, but this is another team where I could see them waiting until a later round to take a wide receiver. So if they don't go with one of these studs currently available, I think they go defense, and I think Lucas Van Ness is a pretty solid piece for them at spot number 11. The Texans already drafted their quarterback of the future, so you might as well try and add another weapon for Bryce Young, and what better weapon than Jackson Smith-Njigba, a guy that many people consider to be the wide receiver 1 of his draft class. As of right now, the Jets are currently picking at number 13. Who knows if this pick ends up being the Packers, but if the Jets are able to hold on to this pick, you're going to need to protect Aaron Rodgers, so I think Paris Johnson is a pretty solid pick there. The Patriots are an interesting spot right here, as I can see them going a number of directions, but I think Elijah Cansey is a really solid pickup right here at 14, so we're going to go with this. Now, the Packers are currently picking at number 15, and if they do trade Aaron Rodgers, I want this selection to be a total troll move, so they're going to select a wide receiver in the first round, something they just never did for Aaron Rodgers. So the second Aaron Rodgers leaves the Packers, they're going wide receiver in the first round, and I got them taking Quentin Johnston. I don't think it's necessarily a need for the Commanders in number 16, and maybe they don't even consider the pick here, But with Bijan Robinson currently on the board at pick 16, I just don't think that they want to move forward with Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson as their running backs, so you add the best running back probably in the last 4 to 5 years in Bijan Robinson. The Steelers can go a number of different routes here, but I think cornerback Joey Porter out of Penn State is a pretty solid value all the way at pick 17. The Lions have their second pick of the first round, and they can beef up their defense even more, and I think Nolan Smith, if he's still sitting there at 18, he seems like a player that seems really tough to pass up on. The Buccaneers are going to be pretty bad next season, and I don't think they want to go quarterback here at 19, and I don't think they want to trade up to take a quarterback, so if they're in this spot, continue to build this defense and pick up a guy like Myles Murphy. Although the Seahawks already have a pretty good pair of wide receivers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, I think they can add a solid third option, and there's some pretty good wide receivers still here on the board, so I'm going to have the Seahawks actually going with Jordan Addison. The Chargers are another team that have a pair of really good wide receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I could see them adding another wide receiver here, just like I did with the Seahawks, but I think the Chargers could benefit by picking up a really good young tight end, and Dalton Kincaid out of Utah is considered by many to be the top tight end of this class, so if you're the Chargers, why don't you give Justin Herbert another weapon to throw the ball to? If Lamar Jackson is still there in Baltimore, they need to give him more weapons to throw the ball to, so Zay Flowers, he's the best wide receiver currently available. Give Lamar someone to throw the ball to, because that wide receiver room not looking too pretty as of right now. The Vikings, this pick should be pretty easy. It should be anybody on defense, because that defense was horrible last year. Deonte Banks, a really good cornerback out of Maryland, he's still sitting there, so I think that's a really good pick. The Jags are on the clock at 24, and I'm pretty split 50-50 on whether they go offense or defense with this pick. I'm going to lean defense, and I think Brian Branch, I think that's a pretty solid pick right here. The Giants are going to need more weapons for Daniel Jones, as they pretty much had nobody last season. Now, no offense to Isaiah Hodgins, who's a pretty solid player. If he's your number one wide receiver, I think that's something you need to upgrade desperately, so I think they go wide receiver. Josh Downs, he's still sitting there. That's a pretty solid pick. Another weapon for Daniel Jones, gives him more weapons to throw the ball to. There was a mock draft I did where Bijan Robinson fell all the way to 26, and if that's the case, if Bijan somehow slips all the way to 26, I don't think Jerry Jones is going to be able to get that pick in quick enough, but if Bijan's not sitting there, I think it'd be smart for the Cowboys to go defense, and if that's the case, Will McDonald out of Iowa State, pretty good pick. The Bills got to beef up their offensive line, and there's some pretty good options here, but I think Osiris Torrance is probably their best bet, assuming a lot of these guys ahead of him are taken. The Bengals pretty much have everything they need on offense, but by losing Hayden Hurst, I do think they could use a new tight end, and Michael Mayer, a guy that a lot of people also consider to be the tight end one of this class, if you're able to get him at the end of the first round, I think that's an absolute steal, so give Joe Burrow another piece to throw the ball to. My Saints are on the clock now at pick 29, and I can honestly see them going a number of different directions, and honestly, I don't think there's a wrong pick to make here at 29 based on all the talent that's still available, but I do think they can upgrade their defense just a little, and I'm going to go with the hometown kid in BJ Ojulari at pick number 29. Eagles are on the clock with their second pick in the first round. You got to beef up that offensive line, give Jalen Hurts some protection, so go with Broderick Jones, who I don't think is going to be here at 30 still, but if he is, you lock him in there. The Chiefs round out the first round with the final pick, and they're likely going to take a shot on some player that offers a lot of upside. Brian Breezy is a player that many thought would be a top 5 to 10 pick in the NFL draft a couple years ago. He has been sliding a lot recently, but I still think he offers a ton of upside, and for the last pick in the first round, why not take a shot on him? So I got the Chiefs ending the first round with Brian Breezy. Well, that wraps it up for this mock draft. Again, please try and keep it civil in the comment section down below. This is just for fun, so don't take this too seriously. Like I mentioned, I'm going to have some future mock drafts in the coming weeks that have some trades in them, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, this is definitely the place for you. I'm posting college football videos all off season, so make sure to subscribe if you call yourself a college football fan. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.